If you want to know how to get ahead financially in just 6 to 12 months, this is the video for you. Unfortunately, most people are struggling financially and don't have extra money every single month to put toward assets and building a better financial future. This means that it's pretty easy to actually get ahead of most people and build a better financial situation for yourself. So in this video, I'm going to share just a few things that you can do to better yourself financially and get ahead of most people within a year. So the first thing that you need to do is actually work on your mindset. And this is not something that's a frou-frou, new agey thing like change your money mindset, but honestly, your mindset does determine your actions, and actions are what is going to get you ahead financially. So you need to think about how you are thinking about your finances and what those thoughts are translating into. You really need to recognize that changing your mindset and getting in the right headspace is probably the hardest part of this whole transformation. Most people cannot delay gratification, so they spend everything they earn as soon as they get it. Most people complain about their finances and their situation without taking the action to actually change it. And by changing your mindset and then putting those changes into action, you are going to be bypassing most people around you. So if you're stuck in the headspace where you're spending everything you have, you feel behind, you feel like you are struggling financially, the first thing you need to do is accept that you can change this situation. It's going to be hard. It's going to take a lot of work, but recognizing that you have power in this situation is the first step. Yes, it's super hard, but it is possible. You can start small, you can make small changes, and those are going to snowball over time, over the year that you are working on this situation. And at the end, you're going to be in a much better place. Recognizing that changing your mindset will change your actions is the biggest hurdle. And once you do this, you can realize that it's possible for anyone to do this. Anyone can change their lives and get ahead financially. Anyone can create a plan to better themselves for this year, for next year, for the next 20 years, and actually build financial freedom into their lives. So I believe in you, and I know that you can do it because I've seen people do it with different incomes, different situations. It really doesn't matter specifically where you're at right now. It matters that you are able to change how you're thinking about the situation and know that you can improve it. So the next thing that you need to do in order to get ahead financially is to evaluate your expenses and make a plan for the year. Understanding where your money is going throughout the year is critical to getting ahead financially within a year's time. Let's be honest, most people have no idea where their money is going. If you ask them, they really just cannot easily pinpoint it because most people don't budget or track their expenses. Honestly, most people don't have a plan for this week, let alone this month or this year. So creating a plan for your whole year will set you way ahead of most people. And financially, it's what you need to do to actually get ahead. To do this, you can just write out the months of the year, and in each month, you can write down the big expenses that you expect to happen. When will you need to pay your car insurance if it is paid every 6 months? When do you think you will need to replace your car tires? When do you think something might break on your home if you're a homeowner? You have to plan for these larger expenses and know that they're coming throughout the year so that you can better plan your daily and weekly and monthly expenses around those. When you have everything planned out for the year, you can then create a sinking fund where you put a little bit of money every single time you get paid into that fund that covers that big expense later on in the year. Having a sinking fund for all of these things can help you better get through the year financially and not have those big unexpected expenses derail you. Once you have a list of all of the big expenses that you expect to happen throughout the year and you can create sinking funds for those, you're going to be ahead of most people. Honestly, having a plan for big expenses throughout the year will save you from reaching for a credit card or going into debt just to cover something because you've thought ahead and you've made a plan. This is critical to succeeding financially, and it's also the thing that will allow you to accomplish everything else on this list. Another thing you can do when you're planning out your year where you're looking at all those big expenses is to set your yearly savings goal. Having a goal of saving $10,000 or $20,000 for the year will set you apart from most people financially because if you don't have a goal, you likely aren't saving every single month. When you have a goal, you're able to say, I need to save $500 per month or $700 per month or even $100 per month. No matter what goal you've set for yourself for your personal financial situation, you're able to break it down per month and actually actually hit that goal and achieve it for the year. Being able to evaluate your overall bigger financial situation for the whole year and then make a plan based on that allows you to set those savings goals. And then you can move on to the next step that will get you ahead of most people financially, because it is making a budget per month and then tracking your expenses. You're probably tired of hearing you need a budget, but budgeting and tracking your expenses is what gets most people ahead financially. If you don't know where your money is going, it's likely just going out to things that won't build assets and create a better financial life for you. It's probably being spent on things that you don't even remember the very next week. If you create a budget for each month, you can put in a lot of really fun stuff, but you can also make sure that you're hitting your savings goal, you're making sure there's room in your budget so that you are creating a buffer in your accounts so you're not spending every single thing you make. I have budgeting sheets that I help people walk through their first budget all the time, where they write out every single thing that they think they're going to spend for the month. Usually writing it out is a great option in the beginning because it really cements it in your brain of what you're actually planning to spend, and you see all of your bills, writing out every single bill. When you write out every single bill for the month, it can really add up in your brain and you can see that you're spending so much money in certain areas. That can be really helpful to see on paper, and that's why I like people to do it by hand the first couple months. But I also love budgeting apps, and I find that for tracking your expenses, that is the easiest way to do it. So I love budget apps like Copilot, Monarch, Quicken, Simplify. There are so many great options out there. I will leave links to all of the budgeting apps I love down in the description box so that you can pick one and actually track your expenses. This will get you ahead of most people because honestly, most people have no idea where their money is going. If you actually know where it's going and you can look at it and make adjustments throughout the month, you're going to end up in such a better place financially, I promise. The next thing you're going to do to get ahead financially is to create a buffer. This is the gap between what you are earning, what income you bring in during the month, and what you're spending during the month. The further apart you can get those things is where you are able to build wealth by buying assets. And this is something that is critical if you want to get ahead financially. So when you start, you might not have a huge gap. You're probably potentially living paycheck to paycheck because most people are. That means you don't have a big buffer between what you're earning and what you're spending. You're spending everything, possibly just to survive and keep paying all your debts. But as you work on your finances, you're going to make that buffer widen as far as you can so that you can use that gap to put your money towards savings and investments. This is what creates wealth, and it's the thing that will be the hardest for you to do potentially. You have to actually make cuts on your spending and increase your income to do this usually. It can be hard, but you can cut expenses like your phone bill by using a prepaid phone service. I use Mint Mobile, and that keeps my phone bill under $30 per month. You can do things like cutting your grocery bill by meal planning and being a little bit smarter with how you shop. You can do this by cutting subscriptions that you don't use. So you don't have to have 4 different streaming services. You can have just 1 or even 2. Just cutting back here and there can allow you to create a little bit more of a buffer in what you're having come in versus what you're spending. And that money can be put toward those savings goals you set and toward investing so that you're building a big nest egg for your future. You have to free up that little bit of room between what you're spending and what you're bringing in so that you have money to buy those assets that will eventually provide for you, provide an income for you so that you're not working forever and living that paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. In just 1 year's time, you can actually do a lot with this. You might start small with just a couple things, but over time, you'll find ways to save more money and to increase your income so that the gap grows larger and you're able to do more with the money that you are saving every single month. So this is incredibly important. And if you're doing this, if you're increasing that gap between what you're earning and what you're spending and growing that buffer, you are going to be ahead of so many people financially because most people don't do that. They are spending everything that they make and a little bit extra. And because people are spending more than they're bringing in, they are not building up emergency reserves. So something you can do to get ahead of most people financially is to actually save 1 month's expenses into an emergency fund. This is just a beginner emergency fund. You should have 3 to 6 months if you're employed or 6 to 12 months if you're self-employed. But to start, saving up even just 1 month's expenses into a savings account, into a high yield savings account will give you enough breathing room that you can do more financially. And let's be honest, there's a reason why you constantly see those articles about how Americans cannot afford a $400 expense or they don't have any savings to pay for unexpected bills. And that's because they don't have an emergency fund. They're not able to create that gap between what they spend and what they earn in order to put that money toward an emergency fund. But if you are doing that, you are going to be so far ahead financially and setting yourself up to stay ahead financially, because an emergency fund is all about protecting your financial progress. When you live on the edge and don't have any savings for emergencies, that unexpected bill is going to come along and wipe you out and put you further into debt. You're going to be going backwards instead of making progress financially. So if you don't want that to happen to you, if you don't want to go the wrong direction, you're going to save an emergency fund. You can start with $1,000. You can then move to $2,000, then move to 1 month's expenses of whatever you spend in a single month. Then you can start working on increasing that even further to 3 months and then 6 months of your expenses. Having this emergency fund will set you up so that you're able to roll with punches when life hits you, because it's going to hit you. So if you lose your job, you're not going to be put into further debt. So if you have an accident or if you have an unexpected bill that's beyond your sinking funds, you're not completely screwed and you're not put back into the financial position you were in before you started. Having emergency savings is so critical to financial success. So doing this in a year, saving up at least 1 month of expenses, will put you way ahead of most people. If you currently have debt, creating a debt payoff plan will put you ahead financially. You don't have to plan to pay off all of your debt in 1 year. There's not a race. It's not necessary to pay off your debt in 6 months or 12 months. You don't have to do it as fast as possible. What you do need to do to get ahead financially is to have a plan to pay it off and to be working that plan. Most people are just living paycheck to paycheck and paying the minimums on their debts to paying as little as possible and thinking they'll deal with it later or they'll make a plan one day. If you actually make a plan and put a little bit extra toward your debt, you're working to pay it off, even if you're not doing it super fast, you're going to be getting ahead financially. You're going to be making a lot of progress. It's really important to have a plan and have the bigger picture in mind with your debt so that you're not continually adding things because it's only another $20 or $50 payment per month. Adding up all of those little payments, $20, $50, $100 here and there, is what ends up taking away all of your income and deleting that whole gap between what you spend and what you earn. That gives you no room for progress. So having a plan to pay off debts, to eliminate some of those monthly bills that are going straight to interest and straight to your debt payoff, will be so critical to get ahead financially. And the final thing you can do to get ahead financially is to prioritize increasing your income. Cutting expenses is great and it can help you create that buffer so you have money to actually work on your financial goals. But cutting will only get you so far. Cutting is more of a survival technique. It is not a thriving technique. What you want to do to thrive is to increase your income. Cutting your expenses can only do so much, and it's not a way to build wealth. To do that, you need to increase your income. Most people just need to increase their income, at least temporarily, to get ahead financially in this current world. You can increase your income in a lot of different ways. You might have a really good job where you will have the potential to earn more money. You can work overtime. You can work on getting a raise. You can work on getting a promotion or even a lateral move to get more money. You can change jobs to get a raise that way, to earn more money by job hopping. That's super common. There's a lot of different ways you can use your main job, your 9-to-5 job, to earn more money. If that's not an option for you, there are other ideas and you can do side hustles to earn more money. You can do things like DoorDash. My sister-in-law is actually doing that right now to earn a little bit extra money. You can do things like getting a second job, just having a second part-time or even a full-time job. It doesn't have to last forever, but increasing your income for a certain period of time, for even 6 to 12 months, can get you from the negative situation you're in financially to a much more positive situation financially. When you combine that extra income with all of the things we've talked about in this video, you can make huge progress in just 1 year. And it doesn't have to last forever. You don't have to have permanent side hustles. You don't have to work 2 jobs forever, but just giving yourself a little bit of a boost in the beginning of your financial journey will get you so far ahead and you'll be doing so much better than most people. You'll be in such a better place financially that you're able to kind of like step back after that year and maybe don't work so much, maybe work a little bit less, but but you have everything in place that it's so much easier now to continue those financial habits that you are able to just kind of coast and do the things that you've set up in this 6 to 12 months to get ahead. So those are just a few of the things that you can do in the next year to get ahead financially. You can end this year, end the next 12-month period in such a better place. You can be ahead of so many more people. You can actually feel a little bit calmer and happier about your finances. You can make huge progress in just 1 year. I know you can because I've done it. I've seen other people do it. And I know that the next 6 to 12 months are going to be an amazing time for you. You're going to make so much progress. And I cannot wait to hear in 1 year where you are financially, because you are going to be in a much better place. I'm wishing you all the best. And if you want more tips and tricks on how to actually put this into practice, definitely watch this next video. It will help you along on this financial journey.